Alright everyone, if you have any common sense at all, you are aware of the fact that the Biden presidency is now a failure. It's been a complete disaster since day one, attacking the energy sector, massive inflation, creeping jobless numbers, to the point where Joe Biden has to ignore an entire month's job growth data in order to continue his statistical lie. It's a lie by omission, by the way. Foreign policy blunders, plenty. We just got CENTCOM's report on the Afghanistan drone strike, the second one. It's been confirmed. No ISIS targets were killed, just a bunch of kids and a U.S. aid worker. This is Joe Biden's America and Joe Biden's world. So he's clearly not doing so well, and the polls reflect this. His disapproval rating is close to 50%, which isn't great. His approval level's at 45 and dropping. And remember, again, these are cherry-picked polls. Not outright rigged so much as they missample because they're basing it on turnout levels from 2020, which number one never makes sense, but they always make this fucking mistake. And it almost inevitably ends up dragging the aggregate in one direction or the other. And secondly, because of course that relies upon thinking that the official numbers in 2020 were accurate. Of course they were. Totally fine. Honk honk. Anyway, the real number's probably worse than that for Biden. I'm sure that their internal polling shows this. This is why Biden has gone back to stopping asking questions. This is why Kamala doesn't even make appearances at this point. When's the last time that Kamala had a public appearance that was collated on the White House's official stream site in order to make people aware, hey, by the way, this is a thing? When's the last time? Wasn't it? Was it her Asia trip when she was in Singapore, I think, or Vietnam? That was a little while ago. That was last month. So we've got a no-show Veep. Most members like Buttigieg never makes appearances. Virtually nobody in his cabinet really wants to be in public right now. I wonder why. The legacy media senses a problem. They don't think that Biden is going to be their guy in 2024. I happen to agree with them. I think that he will either resign or be 25th or die in office because he's old and incompetent. He's got dementia. 4 years is an awful long time for someone with Alzheimer's. He's had several aneurysms. He's had 3 falls in the last year. But the fucking writing on the wall, it's pretty obvious what's going on. They're preparing to toss him under the bus. Link in the description. Very, very interesting. This is an article, and then keep in mind, when I use links for this sort of story, I try to take them from left-leaning sites. Like it'll be a CNN, an MSNBC, a Vox, or something like that, because I don't want anyone to shoot the would-be messenger. Here's the thing. The legacy media is already speculating about how Trump could return in 2024 despite our best efforts to kick the orange fascist out forever and protect America and protect democracy and Western civilization against Trumpism, orange blumph, and all of his terrible things. He might make a comeback. And if he does, it'll be because of Joe Biden sucking, because he keeps messing up, and most of his voters were just voting against Trump. This openly admits it, by the way, that most people that did vote for Biden, however many people who aren't, 6 feet under that you believe are part of that total, a very large proportion of them, possibly a majority, didn't even like Biden. They held their nose to vote for him because of 4 years of propaganda telling him that the other dude was a nutty fascist. What they got by electing Biden is a nutty fascist. I mean, there's an obvious collusion between corporate powers, especially big tech and pharma right now in the U.S. government, and some state governments, so there's the fascistic part. It's kind of incontrovertible that Joe Biden's not completely all there, considering the way he speaks, especially when he's not scripted, considering the way he acts, again, thinking that it was good optics to the Biden White House when months ago he broke his foot and he blamed it on, I was in the shower and I decided to run after my dog to grab its tail. Whatever the real reason he broke his foot, I'm sure it's worse than that. So keep in mind that obvious sign of a little bit of nuttiness was considered superior to what actually happened. It was probably Kamala pushing him down a wheelchair ramp or something, but we'll get past her murderous spree as well. They're trying to toss him under the bus so that they can get him out of the way for 24. They don't want him to be the candidate. You see the writing on the wall. Again, link in the description. Read this story. The legacy media is already beginning to turn on Joe Biden. This was already planned years ago. This was already their plan before he even got into the primaries, to kick him aside. Now, a lot of people think that's because, Kamala Harris is kind of like Hillary Clinton, and they seem to get along. And so they want the first female president. They can't get Kamala in by vote, so they're going to put her in there. She'll be appointed to the office. She'll run in 24. While I believe there is a good chance that Kamala, especially if he leaves in the next couple of years before the midterms, if it's at the 11th hour, it'd be much more difficult to make the case that there shouldn't be a primary going on. If it happens early, though, yes, she could potentially attempt to be the standard bearer. I think she would lose quite badly, to tell the truth. But I think they might try to throw her under the bus, too. This is why she's so absent. This is why she's so quiet. I think that she understands what's going on. She may be sleazy. She may not be verbally acute. She might suck at debating, and she does. But she's not an unintelligent woman. She's very cold and strategic. She kind of is like a less talented, younger version of Hillary Clinton. She knows what they're doing to Joe. She knows that. And she's willing to let him take the fall and get run over by the fucking bus. As long as she seems absent from the administration, she can come out later and say, well, yeah, I like Joe. Yeah, I know he called him a rapist before, but overall he's a likable guy other than the rape, other than the credible allegations against him that I once said should be investigated. Now I think they don't matter. But by and large, he's a good dude. But I disagreed with him. There were, that drone strike, literally everything that went wrong during his administration. Don't worry, Kamala will do differently. And then she'll have X amount of time in her own asterisk administration. It'll have 2 asterisks at that point because she won't have been elected, to try to hash things together and make them marginally better in order to make her way forward. I think, though, they're using fear of a Trump return to batter Biden now. Because they know he can't win. There's no possible way that after all the things that have gone wrong and the obvious cognitive state of Biden, that he could run in 2024 and the deep state could possibly have a 2020 scenario and explain to the public how Trump didn't win if he's the candidate. And by the way, it'd be even harder if it were DeSantis. Then you wouldn't even have the orange man bad thing. By then, I believe DeSantis will be fully fleshed out in having been proven correct in all of his meanderings into COVID. That, of course, is a YouTube video I can't discuss openly here, but I think he's doing the right thing. I think he knows this. I think he's prepping for the possibility of a 24 run, although he will step out of the way if Trump runs. He'd be more likely to be a running mate. It'd be real hard to explain how someone like Biden could possibly win re-election. So they'll try to knock him out of the way. Kamala might get her shot, but that's prefaced on her being virtually dead goddamn radio silent from here on until whenever she gets sworn in. And I do say that. I mean, if it's Biden gets to the end and says, oh, I choose not to run, Kamala would probably sit it out. I don't think she really would garner the standard bearer effect if Biden is forced to just simply not seek re-election, because he'll be old and haggard and nuts, even more fucked up by then. That's about all. Peace out.